So the state has a process for testing, right? So there's in this industry, there's been a process to test for pesticide, but some of these are not on their list, right? Is that what's happening?
Well, if you talk to people, I mean, this is anecdotal stories, there's quite a few, but the system's just a mess because people are supposed to test and ensure that the product is safe, but there's all kinds of corruption going on at different levels. There are certain labs that are testing, and if they come back with bad tests, they just clear it anyway, and they move on. I mean, it may sound ridiculous, but it's happening.
You mentioned that this marijuana is going to the legal market. Have you seen that happening a lot?
Well, I've seen enough of it. So we've had a series of traffic stops in Siskiyou County where the drivers have been from licensed locations, and they indicate that they're buying what they thought was licensed marijuana, but they know better because you have to have the appropriate markings, right? You have to have the track and trace elements on that. I don't believe that they don't know that it's illegal. It's just easy. It's easier to buy black market than it is to do it the right way. We've had people from the state of Oregon come down into Siskiyou County and buy the contaminated black market weed, and they were headed back up to dispensaries in Oregon. We've had people from Southern California, and then we've had people just around California that have indicated that they work for a licensed facility and that they were coming up to buy what they thought was legal marijuana. And they know better. You have to have manifests, you have to have numbers, you have to have licenses. You don't just do that and hope for the best. It's pretty clear what they're doing.
Going back to the enforcement and how much power you guys have, when people come and you pull them over, and apparently these people have a lot of marijuana on them, right? And then you guys get them, and then what happens? They tell you, I thought it was legal. How does that conversation go?
Yeah, I mean, it's just like that. So we make the traffic stop, we talk to the driver, they indicate that either they thought it was legal or they try to pull that story, off that, oh, I was supposed to pick this up. But the problem is most of the marijuana that we catch people with, it's in huge black garbage bags. And there's no tags, there's nothing. There might be some duct tape on them with some writing that indicates the strain of the marijuana. But people will try to make up a story, and what inevitably happens is that we make an arrest on them, and we book them. And what we are doing now in Siskiyou County, and I encourage other jurisdictions to do it as well, is arresting for felony tax evasion, because that is an actual crime, and it is what is occurring all over California. Because if you don't have licensed marijuana, if you don't have a license for it, then you are in possession of illegal marijuana, and at that moment in time when you are in possession of that, you owe the state a 15% tax on that. And there is no way to pay it because there's a proper channel to go through. So you're in violation, which means that you have evaded the tax system. So it's a fresh felony charge for not being in possession of legal weed. And that should deter people from making a stupid decision to transport 4,500 pounds of marijuana, through California. So that's the angle that we're taking now in Siskiyou County.
How did you figure that out?
Just talking to people. We talked to folks at the California Department of Fee and Tax Administration and the Department of Cannabis Control, a series of attorneys, just looking at the different statutes that's available to us. We talked about this before. The laws in California are so terrible right now for dealing with this problem that we have been trying to be as creative as we can to ensure that we can be successful in deterring people from committing these crimes. And so just looking into it, we've determined that tax evasion is a viable option for making arrests and making investigations based upon that, because it's not just the black market anymore, it's mixed with the legal market. And people, our relatives, family members, people we love that have maybe ailments, they're consuming things that are pesticide-ridden.
Today's episode is sponsored by Monetary Metals. In today's world, traditional savings are often eroded by inflation. While the value of paper money diminishes, silver remains a stable, tangible asset. That's where Monetary Metals comes in. Imagine owning silver and earn 12% annual interest on silver, paid in silver. With Monetary Metals, you're not just holding silver, you're allowing it to grow steadily, increasing your wealth with a tangible real asset. It's a way to diversify and strengthen your portfolio over time. If you're interested in learning more about how to make your silver work for you, click on the link in the description or head to monetary-metals.com. Now let's go back to the interview. These people that you guys catch, are they not afraid that they might get in trouble by others attacking them?
Yes, so they do. I mean, oftentimes we see people that have all kinds of firearms with them because they want to protect what they have. But for example, in Siskiyou County, when we have what we call buyers that come into the community, they essentially drive around the streets and they're just looking for someone to kind of wave them down, which is signaling to the people driving around that these people will sell to them. So that's often what happens in the community.
So just random people are coming,
right,
without knowing who's selling.
Right,
just
so
coming to find.
Right, so you're driving around. It's like an open market out there. You're driving around trying to find somebody who's going to sell to you. Well, then you pull up, and what's been happening is there are people that aren't going to pay for the product, and they're going to rob them. And so that's like the example I gave a little bit earlier. People then point guns at each other. Sometimes there's a gunfight. Other times people give up, but it's not uncommon to get reports of gunfire in the communities. But again, people don't necessarily want to report the crimes that they see because it attracts negative attention to the whole industry out there, the whole cultivation operation.
Now, how much of the illegal marijuana coming into the legal, I'm sure it's hard to estimate, but based on your experience, how much of the illegal is coming to the legal market?
I mean, honestly, I would say it's probably a 50-50 at this point, because the amount of marijuana that we see leaving, when we make traffic stops, there's more and more increasing number that are indicating that they work for a licensed facility. And they have, again, 2,000 pounds, 4,000 pounds, 4,500 pounds. I mean, it's not like we're stopping people with a couple pounds. I mean, this is truckloads. And they clearly know that it's illegal, but they're probably getting a good deal. And then it's going down into these facilities and being manufactured into something or just sold at a storefront. And you can't rely on the current tracking system. You can't rely on
the testing will probably be not testing for these kind of pesticides, right?
Well, right.
Or maybe the testing system is kind of not legitimate either, right?
That's correct. So the system in place is not working. We had 15 pesticides on the marijuana product that the state isn't even looking for.
They're not testing for.
They're not even testing for. They're so behind and being so reactionary to this that they are not even looking at the 15 pesticides that we've established are in the cultivation market right now.